Good morning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John 1:1. Now, why would I choose to start sharing on Reconciliation Sunday with that? Well, it was because my brain kept spinning in my very Nofsinger way of how to get a handle on sharing what this means to me and hopefully what this means to our community. And the word that I landed on first was reverberation. That's something that stirs within us, that moves us, that calls us to action. And with my addiction to looking at etymology, the origin of words, the word that stood out in reverberation was verb. And I got questioning what the word verb meant. You know, we're taught that it's state of being, an active thing. But where does that come from? What does it mean? So I reached out to my good friend, Laura Dubeck, who Carol and Chris, I know, had the opportunity to have dinner with, who has her PhD in English literature, who is a specialist in African American literature, and especially the literature of social justice. She loves language as well. And my question to her is, verb a verb? Her immediate response was no. And then I was like, well, then explain reverberate. Her immediate response was, is this a joke? And I was like, no, because to reverberate means there has to be something. And so, with my curiosity piqued, I looked it up. What is verb? An active, energetic state of being. So why John 1:1? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Guess what the Latin word for word is? Verb. So in the beginning, there was an active being, an active power. That active power was with God. That active power was God. It's not the words we put down, not the dogma, but who we are. My friend Laura, when I shared that with her, wrote back, the energy at the beginning, the Word, is not separate or independent of us. It defines our moral center. So when we get to this concept of reconciliation, that has to be grounded in a moral center that is shared. Because again, with etymology, reconciliation is this great little word that has two prefixes in it. Re, again, and con, meaning with. And within that is that moral ground, with a moral ground. And guess what Sila or Sheila means? Blindness. So we're called to be with each other with a blindness for our differences, for acknowledgement of our morality and mortality. We are to be reaffirming that consistently. And I think it's really important when we look at this idea of being reconciling in Christ. When I first started working with this, I kept saying reconciled, as if it's something that's done, checklist, we're good, let's go on as a church. That's not what it is. It is a constant journey to share our moral ground, to tap in with others. And at times like we're experiencing right now, where we don't see morality in others, we have to exhibit our morality even more. Martin Luther King talked about peaceful protest. That didn't mean passive protest. That didn't mean not showing up. It meant showing up more. Showing up with more faith, more grounded in our connection with that creative force that was the Word. So as we look at our welcome statement, do we want to even change the terminology of that to our welcoming statement? To not being something passive, words we put up, but something we are. As Dan alluded to, are we welcoming in all of our actions? Are we welcoming every day? When we say we're a welcoming church, are we welcoming within the sense of Matthew 18:20? For where there are 2 or 3 gathered in my name, there I am with them. So it isn't within this church that we're welcoming, that we're called to be Christians, that we're witnesses of morality and mortality. It's in our everyday interactions. It is how we share faith by who we are consistently, constantly. And that's why we come to that word reconciling again. Because, sorry, I almost said an explicative there. It's hard to reach moral ground with some people, to be steadfast, to not lash out in anger. But our calling is to set our anger aside, not to work against things, but to work for things. To work in that blindness where we don't see difference, but we experience the Word, the living force, God within us. We are called constantly to be the Word, reconciling, changing, and present. That is our mission at Peace Lutheran.